I'm going to yield to the audience now. We are actually on dot 11:30, but inshallah we'll just give maybe like 5 minutes more to have audience engagement, and then we have closing remark from the panelists as well. So we have a question here that says, Assalamu alaikum. I want to ask if there is any record to show the total asset of Waqf in Nigeria. That's number one question. Input into if put into use, could it really have any significant effect on our economic development or reduce economic hardship in the country, or we need to the total asset of Waqf? I mean, this is a little bit. I believe that we get the question. So with this, I would like to ask Dr. Amin, being that this is kind of number like, or let's say figures. Do we have any total record for total asset, or be an effect on cushioning the hardship, the economic hardship we are facing today?
It's interesting that it comes to numbers and then you brought me up. But it's all good. Yeah, numbers interest me, alhamdulillah. So particularly to the question, I'm yet to come across an actual estimate for the quantity or the value of Waqf in Nigeria. As far as Nigeria is concerned, I'm yet to come across an estimate, and this is indeed an interesting area that hopefully our research could pivot towards. To first of all quantify it, and later have an estimate of its potential, and then we can build on. Maybe this is just my own limitation as a student of knowledge that I am not aware of. However, the second part of that question, it needs to be separated, right? To say, okay, let's say we know the value of it. How can we estimate the potential impact on, or will it have an impact on the economy? Well, I think it will, but it depends on how it's been deployed, right? Oftentimes, it's not about the amount, it's often about the how, right? And I have two examples to bring to this. But before I bring that example, I just want to highlight that in a study recently done, a joint report by the World Bank, INSEF, and ISRA around 2019, and the sort of estimated the value of the global Waqf, and we found it to be really huge. And as Prof has mentioned, it's somewhere between $700 billion to $1 trillion. And if we're to put that in some figure, it's like the size of the entire Nigerian economic value, which is not even up to 700 billion, by the way. And the size it will be, according to the current administration, right? We have a 1 trillion economy target, right, by 2030. The size it will be by 2030. That is how huge the global Waqf is, as at 2019 by this estimate. So just to put figures out there. Now, to the specific two things that I want to mention around its impact. I would mention a study that has recently been concluded and in fact published 2 months ago or thereabout by some good, wonderful researchers based in Morocco, Malaysia, and I think and Nigeria, right? These were professors that tried to estimate the impact of zakat, estimated by another study by Professor Munzir Kaf, and then another study by Professor Ubaidullah, that zakat in an emerging or developing economy would have would amount to about between 3.2 to 4.6% of the GDP, and then they calculated this and tried to say, okay, if this is the quantity, all right, on average 3.6, how would it impact on the economy, all right? And not just the economy, they tried to look at the impact. They broke it down into growth, economic growth, and into human capital development, into social welfare, into social security and protection. And they look at each of these to see if zakat would have an impact. And I tell you, a percentage increase in zakat increases the human capital development. I don't remember the exact amount, but it has an impact and a positive impact on all these sector. This is to show an example of zakat that can be likened to Waqf, though they are not the same, as Prof has already expatiated earlier. They are not the same, but they're able to do this quantification. The second example that I want to bring, and this one is really interesting, perhaps because it's really close to home, right? This is a case where zakat asset is being used to actually improve the lot of a people. And this, I would employ the questionnaire to try to access the website of the International Federation of Red Cross and Crescent, right? There is a particular case study that has to do with INCF, again in Malaysia, partnering with a local or one of the state's Islamic council, the state of Perlis, to come together to respond to an appeal in Kenya, a particular county in Kenya called Kitui. Kitui is about 200 kilometers to the east of Nairobi. And this year, they experienced the worst drought. They are predominantly farmers, but they experienced the worst drought. People are being displaced, no food, no water, no healthcare facilities, nothing. But with the aid of Zakat, they were able to mobilize funds from Perlis, the state of Perlis in Malaysia. It's not the capital, it's not the biggest, it's not the most prosperous of all the states, but they were able to mobilize this zakat and then use it into a program in that county of Kenya, in Africa. Not necessarily Muslims, the population there were not necessarily Muslim. And they put together a seedling structure around $1 per kilo, and then they fund these farmers, they fund them with the seed, train them, and leave them to wait. There were about 175,000 farmers, farming families in this project. And I tell you, by the following year, these people were not only okay and doing fine, they were also able to say, you know what, thank you for helping us. Now the next county, our neighbor, they are in need, but we're not saying you should help them too. We want to help them because we have excess. And that project kept rolling and rolling and rolling. This is just to highlight the impact. The first one is about the numbers of
Now,
zakat, all right, around numbers. The second one is about the impact. Now, this is about zakat. Can this be likened to the case of Waqf? Very well. Very well, it can be done. And I want to believe for the case of Nigeria in particular, we're yet to see, but I am very confident it won't be long before we'll get to see.
all right. Thank you so much, Doctor, for that wonderful examples and being be able to crunch those numbers. And that's why I always bring you up whenever it comes to numbers, inshallah. Thank you so much.